hell is going on with politics right now? Seriously, please, someone send help. I will never understand people downplaying Epstein in an effort to somewhat defend Trump and his involvement. The flat-out denial of his involvement in the face of mountains and mountains of evidence is really getting under my skin, to be honest with you. I don't care if you voted for the guy. I don't care if you like things that he's done or things that he believes in. It's okay to condemn him for this. It's okay to raise eyebrows and have serious concerns over this. Too many people are defending Trump right now and his ties to Epstein. One person would be too many, but there are a lot.
This is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party. This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans and President Trump.
Okay, all right, fine. She wants to talk about the government reopening. Fine, let's do it. I've been doing it for weeks, but let's just keep going. What I am hearing her say, by the way, is, oh, we don't need to talk about the Epstein files, guys. We don't need to talk about that. And if we do, it's the Democrats. The Democrats are distracting us. We totally swear the government shut down and making up stuff about illegals and that the government was shut down because liberals wanted to give illegal people health care. That we were not just completely lying to you, making up all of this rage bait content to distract from Epstein. It's Epstein distracting from us. Fine, let's talk about the government shutdown. We have to talk about both now since the media has tied them together so tightly. As a liberal, I have been posting a lot of content about the government shutdown, mostly short form content. I suggest you check that out. I've done YouTube shorts, a lot of Instagram reels. I'm not gonna go into the detail and depth of the government shutdown that I have in those videos here because this video I wanna keep more centered on Epstein. But long story short, the Democrats held out because they wanted to protect healthcare. I guess up until recently, fuck you, Schumer. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to ask you guys to like and subscribe now. Thank you to everybody who is supporting me over on Patreon. If you guys are buying my merch, thank you very much. I feel like I need to tell you to subscribe and stick around and hang out with me because I can already feel my blood starting to boil and I think I'm gonna be too angry by the end of this video to remember, so. Schumer, please don't let the door hit you on the way out, all right? As mad as I am at him and the weak Democrats and independent that caved, I gotta ask about you guys across the aisle from me. Republicans, are y'all okay? Because as different as we may feel about the shutdown of all of it, can we just be on the same page that, you know, pedophiles are bad? And not only that they're bad, that they should be prosecuted and that no one should be protected from being discovered if they had, you know, illegal activities in that realm going on. Can we just agree on that? Let's all be on that same page together. And speaking of pages, let's release all of them. Now, I know a lot of Republicans do agree with me. I feel the need to point that out. I do think the House is going to push things through because of the Republicans being on board with releasing the Epstein files. So hooray, claps all around to those of you who are on this page, but to everyone else who isn't. Everyone who's downplaying or defending Trump or trying to like mitigate his involvement. Are you okay? The emails that are being released, the information that keeps coming out that should have come out a long time ago is all very damning. It at least deserves the amount of concern for people to want to investigate and look into it more, not just shove it under the rug and say, oh, it's just the Democrats trying to distract us from the government shutdown. Just the lack of even like a sliver of concern or curiosity from people on the right, some people on the right. That's weird, right? That's weird. We've got Megyn Kelly out there basically saying, oh, well, you know, they weren't like super underage, just like a little underage. He was into the barely legal type, which by the way, barely legal is still legal. Not almost legal. That means barely legal. Like I just turned of legal age yesterday and now I'm barely legal. Just crossed the threshold. Would it be creepy at that point if like someone super older than them had interest? I think so, but it would still be legal. Even if it's barely legal, it's still, we're not talking about anything legal here. We're talking about very much illegal. Let's play the clip.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls.
That's illegal.
And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10, I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference.
She says, I'm not trying to make an excuse, and then proceeds to make an excuse. Question for you, Megyn. What does an 8-year-old and a 15-year-old have in common? Well, they're both children. 15 is not barely legal. It is not legal. Completely illegal. Underage and illegal. Like, what the fuck is going on if we have to sit here and debate, like, how much of a pedo was he, though? Like, are you preparing for the inevitable release of the Epstein files that may or may not contain Trump and a lot more damning information about Trump? Because I think it's gonna happen. New campaign slogan, Make America Great. Because at least she wasn't 8. You have 3 kids. Ma'am, you have a 14-year-old daughter. How could you? This is not a normal reaction for anybody, much less a mother of a daughter that is of the age of the victims. I have a daughter. She's only 1 right now, but if that ever happened to her, I would quite literally, and I kid you not, I would unalive someone if they ever hurt her. No hesitation, don't mess with me. The thought of this, just the thought of it, should make her want to puke. It should fill her with rage. Weird justifications or mitigations of what happened, it's not fucking normal. And it's not just her. It's not just her. I will save you. All the random people on Facebook and all the, Joe Schmoes out there saying very similar things to this, because honestly, especially on Facebook, that kind of shit's a dime a dozen. I can't even tell you how many people I have seen saying that this Epstein stuff is just a distraction from the government. I am so sick of hearing that, as though it's just not important to talk about. Democrats shut the government down to give buckets of money to illegals, which is a lie, which is a lie, which seems kind of like that might be the distraction here, but who am I? More on how all of that is totally bogus later. I will go into the details of it. But first, I need to take a break, relax, and unwind, because I'm wound up right now, y'all. I'm wound up. So I'm gonna step back and take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Fume. Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a bad habit just because it's convenient? I mean, I get it. That's why everyone's switching from vapor to flavored air. So with Fume, it's not about quitting, it's about replacing. They offer a simple and enjoyable way to break away from bad habits, while still having something really satisfying to reach for. Fume is different because there's no smoke, no vapor, no nicotine, just natural flavored air that gives you something to reach for without the chemicals. Sometimes breaking a habit isn't just about willpower, it's about having something better to reach for instead. And Fume gives you that alternative. It has a magnetic, fidget-friendly design, and they have flavors that actually taste good. My favorite is crisp mint. And right now, if you order the Journey Pack using my code Jacqueline, Jaclyn, you can get a free Fume topper. So go to tryfume.com/Jacqueline or scan the QR code that's been on screen this entire time. And unfortunately, right now, we're gonna step back into the world of Megyn Kelly for a moment, because I feel bad. I made her seem like she's not standing up for kids, but you know what? Sometimes she can be very passionate about that topic when it comes to drag queens.
You start getting the kids used to inappropriate sexual talk, sexual looks, sexual content, and then the pedophile moves in for the kill. That's called grooming. And this is one of the many reasons why drag queen shows in front of children that are sexualized are grossly inappropriate. And if you're not equally outraged about it, then you are part of the problem.
I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, The
contrast is amazing. If you're not equally outraged about it, then you are part of the problem. That direct quote from you, Megyn Kelly, seems really appropriate right about now. I honestly, I lose sleep at night sometimes wondering if these people actually buy their own crap, or if they realize how hypocritical they're being and they just don't care. And it's not just her. Oh no, not just her. Did you know that Trump personally called Nancy Mace to get her to take her name off of the petition to discharge the Epstein files? Do you know that? Interesting. And let's see some of her recent tweets. How pathetic that Democrats are using Epstein's victims to bury headlines on their vote against reopening the government. I am so sick of the fake news focusing on Trump and not Epstein victims. Okay. Nancy, I don't know if you know this or not, but Trump is the president of the United States. Don't you think it's a disservice to the victims to just straight up not give a shit about that? The most powerful man in the country, arguably the world. And you just don't even really want to look into it? Gonna blame the Democrats? Don't need to look at the people with the most power, even though this should be blindingly obvious to do? I gotta say, I miss the old version of you. Back to the woman who tweeted that protecting a pedo is one step away from being one. I want this woman to show back up right about now. Important note, that discharge petition might reach what it needs this Tuesday. Of course, then it has to go to the Senate and then to Trump, which will be interesting to see how all that plays out. But fingers crossed that this shit finally gets released. And also, side note, Nancy has kept her name on that petition. But like, could she really believe he's got no involvement? Truly, genuinely? After everything that's come out, after he personally called her. And if he's not on it, then what the why hide? Stop hiding. If you've got nothing to hide, what are you doing? Just release it. I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments, because personally, I find all of this very odd. Like, her defense of Trump and lack of interest in looking into this that a lot of Republicans are mirroring, all of that is just very odd. I mean, we saw the Epstein emails about Trump hanging out with one of the victims for hours. By the way, the DOJ and Congress had that information for years, like 14 years. That email was from 2011, so what? That's weird too. Everyone walks by, they're like, oh, that's fine, it's fine. Why on God's green earth does anyone oppose releasing this information unless they are on it or they are being threatened by someone who is? I mean, I've already had a very long-standing lack of trust with our government and its processes and what goes on behind the scenes. I think we're actually told very little of what's actually going on, but when you see something like this so blatantly, like draped in front of your face, like, look what we've been hiding, it pisses me off. It should piss you off too. The left and right, we may be at odds with a lot of things, right? But this, we got to get on the same page with this, because sometimes I think we lose sight of left versus right, and we forget that it's actually top versus bottom. We're in the bottom. We should all unequivocally agree on exposing information like this, bringing people who are guilty to justice, preventing them from harming again, standing up for the victims. This should not be partisan, even if it means Trump's name is on it. I know, Mr. Grab him by the pussy. It would be a complete shock given his upstanding moral character. I mean, he's so adamant to bring people to justice. Maxwell is sitting in the equivalent of a fancy hotel stay where the prison guards are her little bitch and they've even complained about it. She's sitting there playing with puppies, for God's sake. Like, you know, he's obviously very morally sound. All of this is playing out exactly as it should, am I right? The fact that he called Nancy directly to ask her to take her name off of the discharge petition says a lot. And he went into the Situation Room with Lauren Boebert to try to get her to take her name off the petition. Like, how much more guilty could you look? Like, if you have nothing to hide, stop trying to hide it. I gotta know, Republicans, people out there who are Republicans who are downplaying all of this, blaming it on the Democrats, trying to act like it wasn't all that bad, or there's no way Trump had anything to do with it. I have to know. Why do you defend him? Like, what will it take for you to stop protecting and defending him? Is there literally anything he could do to lose your allegiance? We've wanted the Epstein files to be released for so long at this point. And now here we are, Trump is making phone calls and trying to get people to take their name off the discharge petition, trying desperately to save his own ass, and y'all are still here? You can't even raise an eyebrow? The House has a big day on Tuesday, and I think they're gonna support releasing the Epstein files. Then, like I said, goes to Senate, goes to Trump. God knows what's gonna happen then. I'm at the point now where I have very little hope left in politics, you know, to function properly. You know, Trump can post that he wants the House to release this information, but does he really? Did he actually say that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman, was on CBS News. She was talking about how the files should be released. We anticipate that a vote will happen in the House. I know you wrote about the investigation today.
I don't care about it, released or not. This is a Democrat hoax. This is a hoax put out by the Democrat, and a couple of few Republicans have gone along with it because they're weak and ineffective. But this is a Democrat hoax to get away from the fact that they just lost the shutdown.
Right. Back to saying it's because the Democrats trying to distract. Sure. Back to that talking point. But then to say the Republicans who do want them released are weak and ineffective? And I'm supposed to believe that he wants this information to come out? Republicans who are voting for this to be released are not weak. They're standing up for transparency, which is something that Trump has very many times said that he was all for.
Along with it because they're weak and ineffective.
That doesn't sound like a glowing endorsement from Trump. But let's say it happens. Let's say they get released, okay? I have some questions. I have some skepticisms about it. My fear is that it still will lack some of that transparency because things will be redacted or it won't be complete.
He says, quote, House Oversight Committee can have whatever they are legally entitled to. Well, you might remember that just days ago, Trump told Pam Bondi, his attorney general, to launch an investigation on Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, JP Morgan Chase, and Pam Bondi agreed to do so. So now, if there are certain documents contained within the files that Trump doesn't want released, all they have to say is, well, those documents are part of an ongoing investigation, and then he gets to have those documents suppressed.
This is a shit show. So he's saying exactly what I feared. Even if the files do get released, there could be a complete lack of transparency. And if you don't want to hear it from him or me, let's hear it from Trump's own DOJ.
Remember when Donald Trump's acting deputy chief of the Office of Enforcement Operations at the DOJ was caught on camera saying this?
Well, those files do exist.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of pages of files. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal, Democratic people in those files.
That was someone who works in Trump's Department of Justice.
I hate this. I hate all of this. If Democrats are on it, let justice be served to them. I don't care. I'm a registered Democrat, but I do not blindly pledge allegiance to every Democratic politician. That would be insane. If information comes out against Democrats, well, I'm not going to support those Democrats. I'm going to want them to fully pay the price for being terrible, terrible people. I want them immediately removed from any position of influence and everything to be done so that they can never ever hurt anybody again. If it's someone I previously supported or liked, I'm not going to feel anything other than rage towards that person. Not one cell of my body wants to protect someone because they're on the left. I don't care. Get on that train, Republicans. I know a lot of you are, but the rest of you, hop on. The train's leaving the station. Don't allow Trump to hide from this, and don't allow Trump to create loopholes. He's not your hero, and even if you think he is, he does not deserve immunity or a safe place to hide in all of this. Like, Jesus Christ, he doesn't even like you. I feel like I'm in middle school and I have to explain to someone who's getting bullied that they're getting bullied. Like, stop defending this person. They don't give a shit about you. They don't even like you. Where do I start with all of this? Well, you guys remember when the government shut down, there was this lovely message on the White House comment line. I made a video about it. Let's watch.
If you call the White House comment line, like I'm about to do, 202-456-1111.
Thank you for calling the White House comment line. Hello, America. This is White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Democrats in Congress have shut down the federal government because they care more about funding health care for illegal immigrants than they care about serving you, the American people.
To be very clear, undocumented immigrants do not qualify for federal health care programs. They have not before, and they do not now. That is also not what Democrats are fighting for. What Democrats are in fact trying to do is protect and preserve health care rights and benefits that are about to expire for Americans. Hey, if we can make them think it's about the illegals, we can keep them divided enough to vote against their own health care. Brilliant.
So the government shut down. The Republicans said that they had a clean resolution. They did not. At least not really. I fully explained this. I've been making a lot of short form content, like I said. Check it out if you want like the full context or a little bit more details on what was going on.
Y'all say it's a clean CR. I say it feels pretty damn dirty. Big, beautiful bill, which I have talked extensively about on YouTube. It gutted Medicaid, slashed nutrition aid, and let Affordable Care Act subsidies expire. Now they're offering a funding bill that would essentially lock in those cuts, leaving millions of Americans to face sky-high premiums. Trump and his party are essentially now holding things like SNAP hostage, trying to force Democrats to cave. To say that it's a clean resolution and Democrats are unwilling to accept something so perfect, big, and beautiful is bullshit. I feel like it's intentionally manipulative. If you actually understood what was going on and what the outcome of this would be if Democrats just let it go, it's just asinine. It's asinine. And then Democrats get called the ones who aren't compromising because they won't just sign away essentially what will end up being the health care of millions of Americans. And we're called unreasonable and we're called hard to work with when Trump has literally instructed Republicans to not work with the other side. This shutdown is happening because Republicans are playing hardball with Americans' health care. And that's the bottom line. Not clean, very dirty.
But the gist of it is that our healthcare was and now is very much at risk. That's why Senate Democrats rejected it 14 times until they didn't. They were trying to fight for Americans and our health. Legal citizens, guys. Not illegal immigrants. That is a complete lie. For us as citizens, for our ability to, have health care that doesn't cost in the multiples of what it does now. For our ability to, live. Republicans should appreciate that since they're so pro-life. No, not adults. They're not pro-life for people who need healthcare as adults. They're just talking about children because they love children. Until they're 15. Again, on the shutdown, I will redirect you to my short form content for more explanations and blinding rage.
The government shutdown has nothing to do with Trump, by the way. It has to do with Democrats wanting tons of money for illegals. So no, your food stamp removals are not Trump's fault. Also, most of you need to get a job. No, Democrats don't want tons of money for illegals. That claim has been proven false repeatedly, but who cares? Keep spreading misinformation by all means. Federal law already prohibits undocumented immigrants from receiving benefits like food stamps or Social Security. The real money in our system is going to billionaires and massive corporations that pay little to nothing in taxes, while ordinary families, struggle to pay rent or, get groceries. The same families that need SNAP, by the way. Most people who have SNAP actually have jobs, but shockingly don't make enough to live in today's economy, so.
Yeah, that was a comment that I saw on Facebook again, just a cesspool. But again, I will repeat, not a thing about this has anything to do with illegal immigrants. That's a lie, told over and over and over again to what? Distract. But no, we're the ones distracting, right? FYI, now that the government is open, I'm just gonna say here, I predict it's gonna shut down again in a few months. The new year's gonna start, healthcare is gonna be absolutely abysmal, and the whole thing's gonna repeat itself. Those dang illegals, that'll be their talking point though. Watch it happen. But all this talk about immigration, right? All this talk. Guess who's ready to try and bring in 600,000 students from China? 600,000 people. Guess who wants to do that? Daddy Trump. Yeah, on a visa program that he previously condemned in 2016. Let's hear.
I know the H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers. And second of all, I think it's very important to say, well, I'm a businessman and I have to do what I have to do, and it's sitting there waiting for you, but it's very bad. It's very bad for business in terms of, it's very bad for our workers, and it's unfair for our workers, and we should end it.
I don't understand. He's sitting there saying how bad this is for people, but I use it. I'm a businessman. I gotta do what I gotta do, but it's really bad, but I gotta do it. Whatever. I'm just gonna let that slide because I don't have the time or energy right now. But he was saying it's a bad thing, right? It's a bad thing, and J.D. Vance echoed the same sentiment.
This idea that American citizens don't have the talent to do great things, that you have to import a foreign class of servants and professors to do these things, I just reject that. I actually think we invest in our own people, we can do a lot of good. You've heard that criticism in particular as the president has talked about cracking down on foreign student visas and their abuses, but I think that's actually an opportunity for American citizens to really flourish.
Okay, that's all very interesting. So what's happening now? Well, Trump is trying to use that exact visa, H-1B visa, to bring in 600,000. He wants to bring in 600,000 people. Let's hear it.
Does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
We have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
Excuse me? We don't have talent? Like, he doesn't even like you. He doesn't respect you. He thinks Americans don't have enough talent to fill job positions. Meanwhile, we've got fucking ICE out here ripping teachers out of daycare centers, ripping parents out of cars with their kids strapped in. They're gonna physically assault people just sitting down, peacefully protesting, right? Because immigration is such a problem, but we're gonna bring in 600,000, like, you can't make this shit up because they're taking our jobs, right?
They took our job. They took our job. They took your job.
No, we're gonna bring in 600,000 people. That's fine. It's different. Don't look at it. Don't think about it too much. No talent. No talent. Did you guys hear him loud and clear? He doesn't like you. He's not your friend. You don't have to defend him, because he's not gonna defend you. He doesn't give a shit about you or literally anyone that isn't him. He thinks you're a moron. He's actually counting on it to thrive. He thinks you're stupid and weak and worthless. And you know what? Maybe if you want someone like that to be your leader, if that's who you support, then maybe you are. I'm so fed up with it. I'm so fed up with it. If you're willing to go to the depths of hell and downplay his involvement with all this Epstein stuff to downplay Epstein's actions himself. If you do that even a little bit, then you are worse. You're worse than stupid and worthless. Because to me, that shit makes you pure fucking evil. Sorry I yelled. No, I'm not. Okay.